Fresh off the press, Ford has filed for a patent application on a system that plays ads in your vehicle. And it has a controversial element talking about the right to privacy. This system actually maybe eavesdrop on your conversation so that it can play an ad that's targeted based on kind of what you're talking about, whether it's to yourself, to other passengers in the vehicle. And some is not liking it. Some they are liking it. So for those of you who don't know, I am a 10-year intellectual property attorney dealing with everything from trademarks to copyrights to trade secrets as well as patents. You know what I like to do? We're going to first take a look at the article, but we're actually going to pull up the patent, look at the claims section. The claims are the most important part of a patent application. And so I want to know, what do these claims say? We're going to try to learn how to read the claims, and because they're going to define that protection of the application. And I would love to hear what you guys think about whether or not this application is a good idea for Ford or a bad idea for Ford. Please hit the like button if you like this type of content, as well as hit the subscribe button if you are new to the channel. Now, man, it's interesting because we all talk about the right to privacy and whether or not that's being infringed upon, whether it's by companies or the federal government. But man, let's be honest. We all know that, and we all have this cell phone, or we have our computers, or again, a lot of things. We have the Alexa devices, or whatever the case may be. And do you not think these devices are not listening to the things that we are talking about? Man, heck, sometimes I think these things are in our minds, kind of knowing what we're thinking, and are essentially kind of formulating or curating advertisements that's kind of best suited for us, that they think we are more likely to kind of buy something from, or whatever the case may be. It's been plenty of times for me that I'm thinking about something, or maybe talking to a buddy over the phone, and next thing you know, I'm on my computer kind of scrolling down, whether it's Facebook or some social platform, and you're like, man, hold on, why is this ad up that I was just thinking about or talking to such and such about it? So are they already not doing this in terms of eavesdropping on our conversations? I'm not sure. But anyhow, let's look at what Ford is doing, or at least look at the article. Let's see what the article is talking about. This is fresh off the press. You can see the article here, September 3rd, 2024. It is September 6th. So this was a couple days fresh off the press. And as you can see here, you have that display system in your vehicle. That's where the ad potentially will pop up at. You may get an audio ad, or you may get a visual ad on that display system. We're going to see what determines whether or not the ad that you get is a video ad or an audio ad. But again, this article says Ford's patents in-car system that eavesdrops so it can play you ads. That's interesting. Look, I must say too, man, typically when I'm in the car, I'm listening to some type of streaming service, whether it's Tidal, whether it's Apple. So I'm not necessarily listening to the radio. So I'm not getting a whole lot of ads. But I guess to the extent that you're driving and you're listening to the radio and you're going to get ads anyway, I guess the interesting question is, and I would like to get your guys' feedback in the comment section, would you want an ad that you're more interested in? Again, obviously in the best case scenario, you don't want ads. We all know that we can care less about the ads, but to the extent that you have to get ads because you're listening to the radio or something like that, wouldn't you want ads that are more targeted to something that you're interested in, as opposed to getting something ads that is like kind of useless or something that's far left field? I don't know. That's a question. Like, I mean, I'd rather get some ad that I'm interested in, potentially purchasing or going to that event or whatever the case may be, as opposed to something that I'm totally not interested in. I think that's something that I guess we also have to think about, because obviously we know whether it's TV or radio or whatever the case may be, we live in an ad society. So it's not like we're going to not get ads. But again, in this case, to the extent that it's a video ad, you can see here that it's popping up on that display system. So let's see what this article is saying. Yeah, you read the headline, right? Ford has patented a system. Now, it's not a patented system. They're filing for a patent. When you say a patented system, that lets me, as a patent attorney, I'm thinking that they have an actual patent on it. They don't have an actual patent on it. This thing actually just published, which a patent application publishes 18 months after you file it. This thing just published a couple of days ago. So they don't have a patent on this system yet. They're filing for a patent application. So I did want to correct that. But Ford has a patent. So Ford has filed for a patent system that, per the filing, would use several different sources of information to customize ad content to play in your car. One such information stream that this hypothetical system will use to determine what sort of ads to serve could be. It seems like they had the could be twice. Could be the voice commands you give to your car. It could also identify your voice and recognize you and your ad preferences and those of your passengers. Finally, it could listen to your conversations to determine if it's better to serve you a visual ad while you're talking or audio ad when there's a lure in the conversation. So again, that's essentially what's happening. They're looking at or listening to your conversation, which again, is it a privacy situation? Is it not privacy situation? And based on this kind of conversation that you're having amongst yourself, to the extent that you talk to yourself in the car, I'm guilty of that from time to time, or you're talking to your passengers, they're going to say, okay, we need to give you a visual ad or video ad on that display system, or they're going to play an audio ad over this, essentially the vehicle sound system. So this is interesting. Let's see here. One such information stream that this hypothetical system will use to determine what sort of ads to serve. Okay, we already read that. Here's a very, very important disclaimer that we say just about every time. So this is this article saying, this is Motor Trend Sports, I think. A patent filing doesn't indicate that the automaker is intended to implement the system. It just means that it's protecting this intellectual property from competitors. Ford, of course, could implement this system in some form based on this patent, but doesn't presume that it will. And again, the article is right. So just because you file for a patent application, a lot of times with these big companies, the Ford Motor companies, the Apples, the Microsoft, they have an R&D budget that's tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, in some cases billions of dollars. So you have to kind of, you have to create, you have to do research and development. And based on the things that you come up with, you're typically going to file for a patent application. Now, some of this stuff they actually do implement or put into production, but a lot of this stuff they unfortunately don't put into production. But again, just so that they are protected in case they do want to put it into production later, the goal a lot of times is to file a patent application on this stuff. And again, I don't blame you. You're already spending the money anyway in R&D, so you might as well protect it. And to the extent an opportunity comes up later to be able to monetize off this particular system or particular technology, you have it protected and you can monetize off of it. So again, I do agree with the article on that. A lot of times they file for this stuff or actually get a patent on these technologies, but they don't look to actually implement them in society. But you should still try to protect your IP. And I'll tell you that as an IP attorney. And a statement from Ford issued to Motor Trend after the story was initially published says exactly what this is in a slightly different way. Submitting patent applications is a normal part of any strong business as the process protects new ideas and helps us build a robust portfolio of IP. I definitely would agree with them. And to the extent you're a startup or a small to mid-sized company, having that robust IP is important when you go to exit the company. Let's continue on here. The ideal described within a patent application should not be viewed as an indication of our business or product plans, no matter what the patent application outlines. We will always put the customer first in decision-making behind the development and marketing of new products and services. So what Ford is saying here is, look, when we're kind of essentially implementing these technologies in real world, in real time, we're going to take into account what's best for the customer. So we're not going to necessarily be, infringing on their rights, in this case, right to privacy, just so we can make $1. That's essentially what Ford is saying in that statement. So let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section. I think it's an interesting statement. And again, I think they are saying the right things. The patent, in a roundabout sort of way, acknowledges that in-car advertising might be received poorly by occupants. For one, there's a recognition that an occupant's natural inclination to seek minimum or no ads should be balanced with maximum opportunity for ad-based monetization. The patent basically says that it will use a few different algorithms to bypass occupants' preference for zero ads by playing ads at certain times, attempting to minimize disruption by understanding the context. Now, again, I think that is interesting, and I actually didn't have it up. I think it is interesting. So they're saying here, the patent basically says that it will use a few different algorithms to bypass occupants' preference for zero ads by playing ads at certain times, attempting to minimize disruption by understanding the context. Now, if I'm telling you that I don't want ads, or I am on like a supposedly ad-free station, and then ads start popping up, then to be honest with you, I'll be pissed. And I think most people will be pissed. But to the extent that you're listening to Pandora, I haven't listened to Pandora in a long time, and you have that ad, I guess the version that gives you ads, or you listen to the radio that plays ads every so often, and you get an ad that's more targeted and directed towards your interests. I'm not opposed to that. I'm not going to be mad at that. But again, if I'm telling you that I don't want ads, or I'm listening to something that is supposed to be ad free and ads are popping up. I don't care whether or not it's a break in the conversation that I'm having between me and passengers. I'm actually going to be pissed about that, and I think you would too. But you guys have to let me know if you would. I think most people, if you're saying that you're supposed to be playing 0 ads, but all of a sudden you get ads, I don't care if it is attempted to minimize disruption. But man, look it. If I don't want ads, don't play me ads. But again, you see the display device here, and this is where the ad will be, at least if it's a video ad. If the system describing the patent knew that you were headed to the mall on the freeway based on destination information from the navigation system and vehicle speed, it could consider how many ads to serve in that time you will be in the car and whether to serve them on a screen based through the audio system. If you respond more positively to audio ads, it might serve you more of those. How does every 5 minutes sound? Maybe that's interesting. But what if the weather's bad? Traffic is heavy and you're chatting away with your passenger. Ford describes the system using external sensors to perceive traffic levels and weather, and the internal microphone to understand conversational cadence to regulate the number of ads shown to the occupants. Using the GPS, if it knows you've parked near a store, it might serve you ads relevant to the retail location, got passengers. So I do think that part of it is interesting. If it's Christmas time or it's type of holiday season, and you're going to Walmart, for example, you need to buy food. You're talking about how you're making Thanksgiving dinner. I think most people wouldn't mind you're getting ads on potential sales of like turkey or dressing or greens or whatever said thing that you're talking about. Again, if you're headed to the mall to go Christmas shopping, you're talking amongst your passengers about how you have to pick up some boots or a sweatshirt as part of a Christmas present for a family, friend or family member. You guys have to let me know in the comment section. Would you be all right with the fact that they're giving you an audio ad or a video ad, letting you know about potential sales of the products that you have spoke of, even though it's kind of, I guess, infringing on your right to privacy by kind of eavesdropping into your conversation? If it's benefiting you as it relates to playing you more relevant ads and helping you save money or identifying stores at that mall that may have your product, are you going to be pissed at that or are you not? I think most people, it's a fine balance. Again, you're still eavesdropping, which I don't think people will like. But if it's helping you out in terms of allowing you to target relevant stores or stores that has discounts based on what it is that you're trying to get for a friend or family member or for some type of holiday function, I think some people may be okay with that. Let me know in the comment section if you disagree with that or if you don't disagree with it. But I think some people would be able to get down with that. Let's see here. Hate the ads. The system can infer based on how you react. Do you click get a promo code button on the screen? That's a positive interaction. So again, I think that, so especially if you're giving it commands, hey, what's the promo codes? What store at this particular area that I'm going to has what I'm looking for? I mean, I think all that matters to the customers, to the people who are driving a vehicle, to the people who the ads are playing into. So let's see. Essentially, this patent describes an automated workflow gathering information from several sensors, obviously audio sensors, serving as and monitoring your reaction. I guess if you don't want them, then you can have a poor reaction. Okay, so let's look at the actual patent. Because as a patent attorney, I want you guys to learn. And we're going to look at what exactly is the patent covering or claiming. The claims are the most important section of the patent application. And by looking at those, we can at least get an idea of what Ford is trying to protect with this particular invention. So let's get to it here. This is essentially the patent application. So the left-hand side is the drawings. This is the drawing that we just saw on the Motor Trend Sports publication. And obviously, if you go down, it has a couple more flow diagrams and block diagrams. But again, to the right here, you see the actual claims. And again, the claims are the most important part, in my opinion, of the patent application because it defines the scope of protection. In this particular case, typically, at least in the US, you're allowed 20 claims before you have to start paying excess claim fee. So you see this application has 20 claims. You see the 20 down at the bottom. You see number 1 right here. And this patent application has a combination of a method claim and a system claim, which is, pretty typical for these claims. And again, you see here the method claims is claims 1 through 9. And then starting at claims 10 all the way to 20 is claiming a system. And in this case, which is totally, it's what you would typically get, where the system claim essentially mimics the method claim. So you see the method which we'll go through here in the detail, at least with independent claim 1, because that's typically going to be your broadest claim in a patent application. You see your method is, your system typically mimics the method, but it has some structural components. So you see the method claim is just having these method steps. Your system has a processor, and then it has a memory. Then this memory is actually carrying out essentially the method step. So that's typically how you would see something like this that have method claims and a system claim. So, but let's go to claim 1, which is a method comprising determining vehicle information of a vehicle for a trip. The vehicle information comprises one or more of a current vehicle location, vehicle speed, a drive mode, and traffic information. So essentially, it's going to determine vehicle. The first step of this method is going to determine vehicle information for a trip. That vehicle information is going to include at least one or maybe more of your vehicle locations. So are you parked at home? Are you parked in a parking lot? That's type of that's essentially the vehicle location. It's going to maybe use the vehicle speed. Are you going 70 miles per hour on the highway? Are you going 10, 20 miles per hour kind of through a subdivision? A drive mode. Are you, when it talks about a drive mode, are you in kind of off road mode? That means compared to driving through a city. And essentially the traffic information, is it 5 o'clock traffic, or is it highways clear? So that's that first step, is essentially determining the vehicle information, and the vehicle information can include any one of those features. So the next step, determining the user information. The user information includes one or more of a route prediction for the trip, a speed prediction of the trip, and a destination. So that destination may be, are you going to the grocery store? Are you going to the mall? That's something that it can determine based on that user information. Again, the speed prediction for the trip. Does the trip cost for you to go 70 miles per hour? Does the trip cost for you to go to 30 miles per hour? That's actually pretty interesting, and I'm not sure, I guess, how relevant that is. I think the destination, as far as the user information, the destination will definitely be important. And I guess the route prediction could also be important as well. So essentially, again, the first step is determining vehicle information. That second step is determining user information. Then this third step is determining the user preference for advertising from any one or more audio signals within a vehicle or historical data. Now, the audio signals, that's the controversial part, because the audio signals, that's essentially that eavesdropping that we're talking about. They're listening to your conversation. They're listening to what you're saying in a vehicle, whether it's amongst yourself or amongst other passengers, between you and the passengers, and that's what it's kind of using to determine your preference for advertisements. Do you want advertisements based on food sales? Do you want advertisement based on clothing or some other sale based on your conversation that you're having in a vehicle? This is that controversial step. So determining the vehicle information, that's not controversial. Determining the user information based on some type of navigation that you typically when you get in the vehicle and you say, hey, give me the destination to this Walmart. They're using information based on that navigation. And they're essentially using information based on speed, the drive mode, traffic information. That's not controversial. But this is the controversial step, that determining the user preference based on for advertisements based on the audio signals, which again, that's where the eavesdropping comes in. Then that fourth step is selecting a number of advertisements to present to the user during the trip. So again, if based on that step 3, you're talking about food, and you're talking about you're on your way to Myers and you need to pick up some ham or some turkey or some chicken, they're going to give you a number of advertisements that are more directed towards what you're looking to pick up. So that's essentially what that fourth step is selecting a number of advertisements to present to the user during the trip. Again, if in that third step you're talking about food, they're not going to give you advertisements that's based on clothing or based on concert events or sporting events, because that's irrelevant based on what you're talking about. So, I mean, again, I'm liking it so far. Even though that third step is controversial, it's starting to make sense. And then that last step, providing the advertisement to the user during the trip through a human-machine interface of the vehicle. And again, that human-machine interface could be that display system that we talked about. I think we showed it here. That's the human interface machine. It can be your display system, which is, in this case, say, an infotainment system, or it could be through the sound system of the vehicle, essentially playing that ad through the sound system of the vehicle. So kind of the recap is first determining vehicle information of the trip, then it's determining the user information. And that third step, which is the controversial step, determining your user preferences for advertisements from one or more audio signals or speakers within a vehicle. Or I guess it can be historical user data. So if you're inputting particular information, it can take that into account. But to the extent that we're talking about the controversial piece, that's that determining user preference for advertisements based on the audio signals, which it'll pick up based on the eavesdropping. That fourth step is now based on all this information and selecting advertisements that's applicable to you within a vehicle based on what you're going to do. Then a fourth step essentially is providing that advertisement, whether it's through the display system, which you have here at 108, or it can be through the sound system of a vehicle. So again, it's a pretty broad claim. We'll be interested to see if it actually makes its way through in this way, or if they're going to have to amend the claim to get a little bit more narrow. But you guys have to let me know what you think about this. It's a little controversial, but I can see people getting down with it if it's helping you out, if it's notifying you of the sales, if it's notifying you what stores to go to in the mall, if it's notifying you helpful information so that you can not only save money but have a quicker time in the grocery store, if you have a quicker time in that mall, and you're already okay with the advertisement, I can see people getting down with it. But let me know, is this something that you would potentially use if it could help you out? Or if you're like, Dave, no way, I don't care if it can help me out. I don't want people eavesdropping in my car. Again, I'm one of them people that I don't like advertisements, but I guess to the extent that they're going to play it because I'm listening to the radio or I'm listening to Pandora that has some type of audio or ad component, advertising component, at least have the ads be relevant to what it is that I'm interested in or what it is that I'm trying to do or what it is that I'm kind of going to do. So, I mean, I can see myself getting down with it, but again, I guess the eavesdropping may be a little interesting, but let me know what you think in the comment section. Please hit that like button and the subscribe button if you like this type of content. And I try to bring you guys these current events. And again, this was fresh off the press. It just came out a couple days ago. And I thought it'd be valuable to kind of talk about it with you guys. So let me know what you guys think. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.